I think the idea is quite interesting actually, the fact that you can teach courses online to multiple people around the world as long as they can understand what you're saying to a certain extent. But I don't know, I think it's got its upsides and downsides. I think I prefer the face-to-face interaction with teachers in comparison to an online course.
Yeah.
I think one of the main disadvantages is that sometimes, especially for younger people, it's important for them to have a role model. And that role model can often be a good and inspiring teacher. And in e-learning, you lose that. And then I think for me another big disadvantage is if you're a student that struggles, it's often that face-to-face work that you do with a teacher that can help you develop and grow and overcome the difficulties that you have in your own learning.
The disadvantage of e-learning, as far as I understand e-learning, would be that the real face-to-face, people sitting down together in a room communicating aspect is kind of lost. But that's only a problem if it's just e-learning. So e-learning can be useful if you have it balanced with practical face-to-face work. It's much easier to be inspired if you're sitting with the people you know who are learning with you than it is to do it on the laptop by yourself.
So I think the interaction between students and teachers face-to-face is very important. Then you can get, feedback from the person that's moderating you, so to speak, with your work to see how you're doing, rather than a mechanised answer that's being pre-generated by a piece of software.
You can be very lonely, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, until your tutor somewhere in the world comes back to you and says this is wrong, this is right. Even then, because it's the written word rather than the spoken word, you can interpret it wrongly. So I've just finished a course with the Financial Times, which was purely e-learning really. There was 1 2-day workshop, but the rest of it was e-learning. And some of the comments that my tutor sent back to me, I could read them as really positive, but I could also read them as really negative. And so it can affect you as a learner. To me it was really difficult, because I had to sit there, read the article, try and understand it, nobody to talk to. Then it sort of said, go and have a look in the Financial Times, see if there's an article related to it, so that was a little bit of activity, but it was still reading. Still not quite sure whether I'm going in the right direction, so it's quite frustrating at times.
Different students will have different needs. So some students will benefit from the distant learning, and others will benefit from the face-to-face.
And unfortunately, where online learning is winning some fans is where people have experienced perhaps a training course with a very boring, dead by PowerPoint presentation. Where the trainer stands up front and is really more of a lecturer, other people sit in the room and go to sleep. I think really good training has to be interactive. So you do a little bit of theory, then you test the knowledge with an activity or game, and then you have some discussion groups where people you pose some questions and you get them to feed back to you. So people are continuously busy, they're exchanging with one another scenarios where the theory actually has been applied in reality.